Well, we had an amazing trip to Ecuador recently, and for those of you who don't know, I just want to bring you up to speed on why we go down there. We desire to be a church that plants churches among neighbors and nations, and one of the ways that we do that among the nations is in the country of Ecuador, and we have some partners there that really desire to raise up and send out church planters for the sake of seeing healthy churches planted in Ecuador. And so we went down, myself and Olivia Mueller and Emily Davenport from the Vine, and simply spent the week teaching leaders what it means to be a healthy leader. And that comes theologically, that comes through practical things, that comes through their relationships. And so I taught a course on healthy church leadership. And my friend Eric, who's a pastor in Forest City, Iowa, he came along and he taught a course on pastor as parent and what does it mean to have healthy parenting in your life as a pastor. And then Steve, the director down there, he taught a course on Old Testament overview. And it was just a really powerful time. It was so cool to see these guys just so hungry for more information and more understanding and learning, and they don't have access to theological education like we might have in the States. So when we would come all that way to teach them, they just soak it up and they're so thankful. So it really connects to our vision of seeing churches planted for the glory of God among neighbors and nations. And so that's why we went, and it was so cool just to see them growing, hungry, really thankful that we would come. And so just want to say thanks for sending us, and it was an amazing time.
You know, it's so hard to summarize in just one or two sentences all that God did last week. But I'll just highlight two really cool things for me. And the first is just that being reminded that our God is a global God. And, you know, I went to Ecuador 3 summers ago, but it's crazy how fast you forget that. I was reminded of a phrase that James and I used to say in camping ministry, and that was step away from the ordinary into the extraordinary. And I feel like that phrase just totally encapsulates everything that happened last week. You know, as Olivia and I were chopping up onions, looking out the window of the kitchen, it was so cool to see Steve or Eric or Zach teaching biblical truths to these Christian leaders, and watching them process some of these biblical truths for the very first time. Just realizing that God is moving in their hearts and He's doing something really cool. And it was just an honor to be a part of that. And the second highlight for me was just putting flesh on the tangible needs of Sandy and Steve and their team there. You know, we pray every month for the nations, but it was so cool to just be a part of that and seeing the ways we can really love and support and care for them in really practical ways, and experiencing that firsthand. It was invaluable. And God is just up to some really cool things in Ecuador, and it was so cool to be just a fly on the wall and to have a sneak peek into what He's doing there. So I'm just really grateful for our time there.